Right, well, my main connection with Park Lane was without any doubt the Young People's Fellowship, which was run by Tim Coleman. In fact, when I first went to Park Lane, I was a member of the Boys Brigade, and the Young People's Fellowship was so successful that you couldn't wait to be old enough to join the Young People's Fellowship. And it was a bit like going to sixth form at school probably nowadays. So you were then, you'd become something. And then from the Young People's Fellowship with Tim, which was quite ahead of its time, I think. Tim was very much not of the old Sunday school philosophy, but the means of throwing some items on the table and letting us talk about them. And so the subjects range from, I remember particularly a particularly argumentative one about gambling and the stock exchange and whether insurance was a gamble, etc., which obviously was quite useful from Tim's point of view. And then obviously one of the other things that Tim did particularly at Park Lane was the formation of the youth club. And I was a fairly active member of the youth club from about 1945 till the mid 1950s, and I'd done all the various things of being a youth club member to a sort of assistant club leader. And one of the highlights, as far as I was concerned, was our annual pantomimes, which started, as far as I was concerned, of being a call boy one year because I was convinced that I could never ever perform on the stage. But I wanted to take part because all my friends were taking part. And so the only thing to do was to be something useful behind stage. And so the first year I was a call boy. And I'm afraid to say, well, I'm not afraid, I'm delighted to say actually the bug hit me from then onwards. And next year I was determined to take part. And so I then became one of the ugly sisters in Cinderella, and this was my first ever stage part as such. I think I can say we were reasonably successful. We had a good stage at Park Lane at that time. And so it was obviously quite something for a youth club to put on something in this way. We used at that time very professional scripts, which we got from Samuel French, I think, if I remember rightly. They were quite expensive, and for 2 or 3 years we performed a pantomime every year. And then Jim Becker came along. Jim Becker, I don't know where he came from, but he came in the club. And Jim wrote his own scripts, and from then onwards we performed the pantomimes with Jim Beckett's scripts, and they were very personal and very localised, and if anything, they were more successful. And then I think I was too old for youth club, and there came the usual spell when one drifted and didn't know what to do. And while I was still considering exactly what to do, a new family came to the church as far as I can recall, and before very long the Park Lane Drama Group was well and truly in existence. And again I started off on a comparatively small note and played one of the younger members of the family of Dear Octopus. Can't remember the name of the part now, but it was quite a small part. And the next year, if I recall, we then decided to tackle, which was, as far as I was concerned, was something much more difficult from my own point of view, and that was when we were married. J.B. Priestley's When We Were Married. And I think probably that was my last actual performance on the stage. It was a most enjoyable time. I enjoyed the part. The part itself was tailor-made, I think, as far as I was concerned. It didn't cause a great deal of difficulty, I think, to get my teeth into the part, and it was great fun. We enjoyed ourselves. Fred Turner and Eric Buxton were my other, what we'd say, unfortunate husbands in the situation. And it was a play I enjoyed very much indeed. But I remember particularly about the night of the floods, because we were playing on the Saturday night, and I remember the rain was battering on the roof of the church hall. And it was the time when I was leading the audience in the chorus song, which every pantomime always has, the words up on the screen, and the chorus song. And it really was hell for leather outside. That was dreadful. And I remember particularly saying, oh, come on, don't worry about the weather outside, we really must raise the roof tonight. Well, no, we better not, because if we do, the rain will come in. Something like that, you know. Yeah. And that went extremely well. And it was only the next day when we realised, you know, what we'd done. And so as a result of that, we actually put on a special performance the next Saturday for the flood funds. And that was packed out. It really was. We broke all the regulations about seat. You know, you had a certain aisle sizes, and that was magnificent. But I always felt that I was a bit frivolous that night when I made these comments about, and other people were losing their lives actually, and in great difficulties. But I shall always remember that. But I always remember Park Lane, quite frankly. I mean, it's Park Lane, if anything, which kept me within the Methodist Church. I mean, I didn't come from a Methodist family or anything like that. I came to Park Lane because I think I was fed up with an Anglican church Sunday school, really, and a friend of mine was in the Boys' Brigade. And that's how it developed, really. It's amazing how things go.